Alright, so not only did I take a humorous title for this section, it actually is really what I'm going to be talking about. When I thought about C.S. Lewis, I thought about, well, how does he speak? How would he speak if you would talk to him? Because that's how he sounds when you read it. So I looked into how British people speak. So I have a little clip right now. Even though I understand C.S. Lewis was not born in England, he was born in Ireland, but still he was educated in England, so a lot of the way that he speaks and the way he writes was influenced by those things. So we're gonna look at a little clip. And this is just going to be just very short, and this is just, if you just want to listen to how this man speaks, just take a listen for 1 minute.
So you're from London?
Yeah, I'm sure.
How long have you lived here?
21 years.
Right, okay, so what's the best thing about it?
Best thing, there's always something to do, places to go. There's a lot of tourist attractions around here. That's the main thing, it's things to do. You can never be bored in London.
Yeah.
Always places, things to see.
Okay, what's the worst thing?
Worst thing, where it's such a big city, it's easy to get lost.
Right.
And the amount of people that come here.
Yeah.
It's easy to get lost, and people can push you out of the way, and you can get lost within the people.
Right.
Around London. It's always busy, always busy. So be prepared to wait, get lost, basically.
Yeah. All right. Great.
Cool.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Alright, so if you would watch that, he talks very expressively. He kind of added on to his sentences a lot. There was a lot of adding on. If you would probably see that typed out, it would have a lot of commas in it because he kept going and going and rambling on. So when I read C.S. Lewis, I thought, well, that's how C.S. Lewis sounds. He kind of goes on and on about things, but he also makes asides about things. He makes specific details that are in parentheses a lot of the time. So these are the words that I came up with that describe C.S. Lewis. Colloquial, conversational, animated, comforting, warm, discursive, and that it's good storytelling. So colloquial and conversational kind of go together. It makes you feel like you're actually talking to C.S. Lewis. He's right there next to you, he's telling you the story. It also relates down to good storytelling. He's almost like he's in the room with you. It's not as if you're in the action, it's as if he's telling you about the action in the room. He's also very animated, and that also is due to his conversational manner. He's comforting because he says a lot of things that make you feel good about the characters. He says a lot of positive things. If it's something negative, he tries to make it into a joke. Almost like he's mocking the person. He's warm because he talks a lot about how people are feeling and the emotional things. That's what a lot of the time goes inside of the parentheses. And then he's discursive, which means that he rambles a lot about things. He makes a lot of asides. He makes a lot of significant details, way bigger probably than they should be, but he tries to make it very humorous. So I just have a couple passages from some of his works that I'm just going to read to you. And if you just want to listen, you can see that it's very conversational. As you can see, he does make a lot of detailed. I believe this is actually almost all one sentence. So he does go on and on with a lot of commas. He says a lot of details in a very small space. So it says, I had a stroke of luck right away. For just as I took my stand, a little waspish woman who would have been ahead of me snapped out at a man who seemed to be with her. Very well then, I won't go at all. So there, and left the queue. Pray don't imagine, said the man, in a very dignified voice, that I care about going in the least. I have only been trying to please you for peace sake. Alright, that is from The Great Divorce. When I read it, it makes me feel like the character. You kind of take on the character when you're reading it, when you're in your head reading it as well. And I think that's something that's also very specific to C.S. Lewis. All the light was green light that came through the leaves, but there must have been a very strong sun overhead, for this green daylight was bright and warm. It was the quietest wood you could possibly imagine. There were no birds, no insects, no animals, and no wind. You could almost feel the trees growing. And that's from The Magician's Nephew. So this is based from a book that's meant for children. As you can see, it's far less descriptive. He uses the word green twice to describe the light. So he's very repetitive when he talks to children, making sure that they get the scene. He also uses a lot of feelings. Like you could almost feel the trees growing. So he's really trying to describe how it would feel if you are in the scene. All right. It is no good asking for a simple religion. After all, real things are not simple. They look simple, but they are not. The table I'm sitting at looks simple, but ask a scientist to tell you what it is really made of, all about the atoms and how the light waves rebound from them and hit my eye, and what they do to the optic nerve and what it does to my brain, and of course, you find seeing a table lands you in mysteries and complications which you can hardly get to the end of. And that's from Mere Christianity. So this is the best example that I could find of him being didactic, is that the word? Didactic, yes. Of him being didactic, where there's a lot of asides. He kind of rambles in the asides, but it turns out humorous. But then at the end, he eventually gets to the point, but still you kind of feel like he's talking to you specifically. In a letter that I read that C.S. Lewis wrote to a 4th grader, he said, he was talking about what inspires him to write and what his writing is made out of. And he said to her that, you know, you explain a lot about the event and what it's like to be there, but you need to talk about what really happened, the importance of the event, and he called that the jewel of the event. And so everything that he does, all of his ramblings and everything, is all of him trying to get to the jewel of what the actual event that is happening. Are there any questions?
Where did that last thing come from?
It's actually a response to a letter in 1956 that a 4th grader from Florida wrote to him, and it's one of the only fan letters that he's ever responded to. And it's actually like he writes an entire list of like how you can be a better writer and how he expresses his writing.
Nice.
Yes.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?